the tenant, so here's what it says. My tenant has breached the contract for non-payment. She moved out but left numerous damages, more than the security deposit. I'm preparing to file a small claims lawsuit, but I'm wondering if it's worth taking legal action. What should I expect? I have a feeling that she will file an appeal saying she can't afford an appeal bond if I win. I have a feeling she won't pay me no matter what I do. I do feel I have a social responsibility to warn other landlords this is no longer an eviction case. Number one, after the tenant has left, if they've left damages, you still have claims up to 4 years for any breach of the contract or any damage to your property. So the question for you is, does it make sense to go after them? Well, if you know that the tenant has no capacity to pay and would be otherwise reluctant to discuss payment with you, you might find that your tenant is what we refer to as a judgment-proof tenant, which means you can get a judgment for $1 million gajillion dollars and it wouldn't matter to them. They're not going to pay it. They don't care about their credit. And even if they wanted to pay it, they don't have any money to pay. They make just enough to get by. And so they don't have a bank account. They don't even own a vehicle. They certainly don't own real property anywhere. And so the likelihood of recovery is so low that for a judgment-proof defendant, it's generally not worth it. However, if you have a defendant who does have a job and maybe does own one or more vehicles and maybe in 5 to 10 years will own property, then it's a better consideration. If this person otherwise is able to pay off a debt, and you know that your debt is anywhere between $10,000 to $15,000, it's worth going even into the small claims court where jurisdiction is up to $20,000, even into the small claims court to seek an economic judgment. Because even if they don't pay it immediately, you might find if you abstract that judgment, just like you could for any eviction judgment, if you abstract that judgment's good for 10 years. And you could find that sometime down the line, they're looking to purchase real property, their first home, for example, and they've got a judgment lien on them because you filed a judgment, got a judgment, and then abstracted it. Their willingness to pay off your judgment might come up once they're willing to buy their new home, because one of the stipulations of their lender is going to be, I'm not going to loan you this money while you have a judgment lien, potentially putting my collateral at risk. Clear the judgment lien, we'll send you the loan. And that's when I get a phone call. It says, Mr. Garcia, there's a judgment lien. What do we do to pay it off? And then I call you and you tell me I'd like the full amount plus interest. We give that number to the side. They pay it. We draft the release of lien and everything works out pretty well at that point. The question really comes down to, is it likely that I will be able to recover any of my losses from this defendant? If you know that there's no way they have the capacity or the willingness to pay your debt, it's not worth it. But if they have a good job and if they likely will sometime down the line either own or seek to purchase real property, if they currently own multiple vehicles, if they have a banking account that you are aware of, then all these things are good information you can have. Landlords, as always, we welcome you to follow us on our Instagram page. If you're not a member yet, join us on Facebook. And if you enjoy what you see here, give us a thumbs up. Click that like button. We enjoy that very much. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Hopefully in your application process, you've gathered information about banking and checking accounts. These become extremely important. The saving and checking account information, if in fact you want to sue afterward and you want an ability to recover your losses, you could potentially seize assets from known accounts, but you have to know about the accounts, not just where they are, but account numbers, right? So that you could effectively attach a judgment to a future account to collect. Or if they own real property, perhaps they own, together with their siblings, property that was left to them that they own, that they should, nobody lives there, but they own it. The fact that they share ownership with somebody means you can still attach your judgment lien to them and exercise potentially a writ of execution against that property and recover from the sale or seizure of that property the proceeds owed to you for your judgment. So, does it make sense to go after somebody who has damaged your property? Yes, if there is a likelihood that you'll be able to recover those damages. If the answer is no, then by all means, don't waste your time and money seeking a judgment that's really just going to be a decorative piece of paper. If there's a high likelihood that you can recover, then certainly. The last thing you need to think about in these cases is, can you locate this defendant if you want to sue them and will need to serve them personally with notice of this lawsuit. You can serve them at their place of employment. If they don't disclose a new address after they've left, you're going to have to locate them. So if you don't know their place of employment, then there are ways that we can employ to find individuals, particularly if they remain in the local area. If they've moved out of state or out of the country, however, it is unlikely that you'll be able to successfully serve them with notice of your lawsuit. And so again, that's another consideration whether to go after them for the damages.